Okay, so NXT not only destroyed Dynamite, but outdrew the ROH pay-per-view as well. So I guess NXT's TV show 1800, right? And it outdrew the Hammerstein 1400, which is ROH final. But I mean, is that really a win? We already knew that ROH would get outdrawn by WWE. Mustafa Ali says he has good relations with WWE with multiple paths to a potential return to the company. He says, I think there's multiple paths. Yeah. And the thing is, there's good relations there. The thing with them moving to Netflix is very, very interesting because it just opens things. I don't know how much the show is going to do. The show is going to change as far as dynamic, as far as rating, as far as what they're okay with. So I don't know. I love Mustafa Ali. I'd love for him to come back to WWE at some point. But again, the roster's kind of bloated, but there's all this extra TV. There's rumblings that they're bringing back a cruiserweight division. Thank God. I've been harping on it forever. It's like, God damn it. We need. What are your guys' thoughts on Ali, and do you want to see him back in WWE?
My thoughts are, I mean, I think it's interesting that the guy who started hashtag Free Ali not once but twice is now talking about going back. So you know, I wish fans would learn this lesson, but they never do. That the grass is not always greener on the other side, and usually it isn't. As far as Ali himself, I don't like him, but I don't dislike him. I don't see any need for him in WWE. Even with the cruiserweight, they already have cruiserweights who are doing basically nothing. Santos Escobar, you're going to have Axiom and Nathan Frazier coming up. Wes Lee. I mean, you have Dragon Lee and the two guys from Legado now LWO. You have Ray. I mean, you have Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Pete Dunne, and what's his name, Tyler Bate, if he ever gets back again, Ilya Dragunov. I mean, they have no shortage. Carmelo Hayes. I mean, you have people that are there that you need to do something with, that you've invested in, as opposed to Ali, who's sort of a professional malcontent. I mean, I'm glad he's being political about it now, but he's not happy with whatever it is he's doing. And he was supposed to go to AEW, and then he saw what was going on there, and it seems like he has cold feet. But you know what, Free Ali? I hope you go to AEW, and they'll feature you for 3 weeks. You won't be on Rampage, because there is no Rampage, but you'll be on that third hour of Dynamite, so you'll be nowhere. Or on AEW Dark, and Dark Elevation will come back, despite Warner Brothers having them focus on 4 hours of TV. I guess it'll just be exhibition matches. There'll be no TV scripting for it. But I'm a little bit agnostic on him. It's sort of like he's reaping what he sowed, and I think he should pay the price for it. And I don't think there's anything special. I mean, if he's insinuating that because of Netflix, there's going to be more global reach in Asia Minor, and you know, and that he's going to be an attraction there because he's Indian or Pakistani, bullshit. WWE did a tour there, and they had Jinder as the champion to do that, and people were cheering for Triple H. They want stars. They don't want to see miniatures, especially in these other markets. In these other markets, we can already see mini wrestlers.
Come on now, that's not very fair to call him a miniature.
He's a miniature.
He's decently
He's 187 pounds. That's a miniature in wrestling. I don't care what you modern wrestling fans think of. If you're under 225, you really don't belong in wrestling. Sorry.
So does Ali quantify as a vanilla midget?
Yes. Absolutely. He's got a little bit of a person. You know what? He'd be a good manager too. I mean, he's the kid for gab. And every now and then he gets physical, and every now and then he gets into a match. And then you want him to lose because he's a shit heel manager, or you want him to win because somebody's been bullying him, and that would be fine. I'm all for all of that. But I mean, but the foreign markets, they're not interested in seeing their hometown heroes per se. They want to see stars. If their hometown hero is a star, see Rhea Ripley for reference. They're going to flock to see her and cheer her. But if it's Buddy Matthews that's being featured, or Kyle Fletcher, nobody gives a see Brisbane for reference.
Someone in chat says I have Warhammer figures that are bigger than that.
Yeah, and saw how the hometown thing worked out for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Jake, what about you, man? You trying to see Ali back in WWE or no?
I mean, where's he going to fit in?
Yeah,
you know, he's got so many stars right now. There's just he's best off in somewhere like TNA. Can actually, do something there, I guess.
So WWE quietly cancels Tribute to the Troops this year, and I think it'll come back in some form or fashion. I just think you got to tape in advance or do something to where it's live. But I don't know. Maybe they could go back to
like they could do it at like a place like a boot camp or something, or
there
like
you go.
like,
Yeah.
or
I was
like
gonna be like, they could go to the Ukraine now or what?
Yeah,
Like, what are they
trying to help you?
I don't want to be like a prick.
Keep it in the
They
States.
could go to like
Yeah,
Fort Bragg or something like
Yeah.
somewhere like that, or an Air Force base or a naval base somewhere.
Right,
And probably even go to Guantanamo.
But just like doing it on Christmas, you got to give people time off for Christmas is the point I'm getting at. Okay.
Yeah.
Jokes aside and all that. But yeah, it's
and they've done really well.
You got to give them time off for Christmas. So, and then obviously it's about giving to them for Christmas as well. So they'll figure out a way they can bring it back. Apparently it's not dead for good, but yeah, they didn't do it this year. And I'm not shocked by that. Like Cody Rhodes got to go home, man. You know, he's got a family.
I mean, they did give people time off, but they're also running dual house shows. There's 2 today. We talked about it already. I mean, to be cynical, this is the TKO endeavor, maximize every dollar. They're not making any money on that, and they're spending a lot of money on it. I think that the excuses we gave people off, but I think this is just not something where they don't get a site fee, they don't get a subsidy from the Department of Defense, they don't sell any tickets, they may write it off as a charitable contribution, but guess what, guys? For corporations, that's not dollar for dollar, and it's hardly worth it. So I cynically think it's because there's no money in it.
Speaking of no money, Janel Grant's lawsuit goes to Harpops.
Jesus.
Ouch.
Sorry, guys. It's been it's a long one here.
Hey, comedy, man. That was funny. It's just
better you than me. That's all I've got to say.
Janel Grant's lawsuit to arbitration. It's been moved, or there's a new motion to have it moved by WWE and Vince McMahon. So WWE agreeing, I guess. I don't know. Dose, break this down. What does this mean? Because
this is actually nothing new. This is just they're resubmitting motions that were basically dismissed when the case got put on a pause by the Department of Justice. That ended December 11th. Take what you will from there being no action since then by the Department of Justice. So this is just the case proceeding along, and and so they're just resubmitting the motions for arbitration. Laurinaitis also joined. He has a secondary defense where he's saying, no matter what, I should be dismissed because I was an agent of a disclosed principal. I was a full-time employee.
Right.
I mean, that worked. I just did a body slam brief for Wrestling Soup where I talk about this way too long. But if you are doing something within the scope of your employment, you should not be individually sued if you did nothing wrong other than what you're supposed to do during your job. I don't think being the boss's wingman, text buddy, sharing, gangbanging with girls, tag teaming women, but believe as many of these allegations as you want. Even the most benign ones are not part of the scope of his employment. They're the scope of being his bro, not an employee of the company. So that part is going nowhere. But they all agree on arbitration, which is in the NDAs, which people don't like. By the way, AEW is using the same defense against the Tates and Kevin Kelly, and they will win too. Ring of Honor used it against Joey Mercury and Kelly Klein, and they won in the state court in Prince George's County and the federal court in Maryland. So arbitration clauses will be upheld, because there's not an arbitrator that can't deal with this, and there's not a judge in the world that they wouldn't rather kick this out of their courtroom when they have a perfectly good reason to do so. And I predict this way back when.
Yeah, of course.
So that's all. It's nothing new. It's just refiling motions that were dismissed temporarily without prejudice, which means you can file them again because there was a stay on the case.
So we'll talk about the Meltzer Corderas stuff and the later in the show in the Meltzer moment. We'll also break down the Meltzer Lee Fitting situation. Speaking of L's, Lee Fitting apparently had some come out about him at ESPN, or I don't think he was fired from ESPN because of anything, at least not to my knowledge, but in any case, there's, I guess, allegations against him, whatever. Meltzer comes out and says that Lee Fitting is pulled off of the N graphics, or he just said some and he was wrong about it on NXT, and then people were looked out for it on SmackDown as well, because they were like, listen, NXT, the news, it was just a day later, whatever. But then on NXT, it said Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting as executive producers as well for that. So Yeah, Meltzer took an L. Speaking of L's on that one again, and Lee Fitting's still there. Now, I'm not saying Lee Fitting didn't do any. However, I wasn't in the goddamn room, right? Like I can't judge everyone based on what people say. You can only judge based on what you see. I think as far as like judgment goes, you can have opinions based on like data you accumulate and things like that. I don't have enough information on the whole Lee Fitting thing to be able to say he's guilty or innocent in that. But I will say this: Meltzer took an L, boldly stating that did not come true once again. So
just
I don't know. It's funny. Yeah, just him guessing. So Omos is going and is in Japan. Omos is in Pro Wrestle Noah. He's going there to have matches in Pro Wrestle Noah, and they're taking videos of him. And it reminds me of the old, like early 2000s, late 90s. You'd see pro wrestlers like Bob Sapp in the Pride FC videos. He'd be like walking around in Japan, and you'd see all the girls walking up to him because he's like this giant, 7-foot freak, and he's just walking around the streets. And there's videos of that with Omos, and I love it because it just reminds me of that old school fight field. Even in pro wrestling, it was like that. You'd see Hulk Hogan over there, and he just towers over everyone, and everyone's running up to him. And
that's why like Brody got big over there, and Stan Hansen, because they're massive dudes. It makes sense.
Yeah, and so I think we have a couple clips. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Dose.
It's sorry. I just came back from my little old man break. One of the things I like about it, and this is going to sound petty, but it's okay. I'm a little petty because for years, people have been telling me how famous Kenny Omega and Okada were in Japan and whatever. And I've never once seen a video like this before. Omos walking around. I mean, granted, he's 7'3", so he's a physical, he's a physical specimen. People flocking to him like that, and seeing that video, it's like, I've seen people flock to Muhammad Ali. I've seen people flock to Tiger Woods. I've seen people flock to Michael Jordan. I've never seen anyone flock to Kenny Omega, or Okada. I mean, Hulk Hogan in the day. But to see Omos, who really hasn't been featured at all, I'm not really sure why, because there's things you can do with him despite him not being a great wrestler. He doesn't need to be. But I just thought these videos are so much fun, and he's got to be having so much fun doing it. And
Dude, he's here picking up. He's sorry, Dose, but he's here picking up like little Asian chicks, and like this just reminds me of like when Bob Sapp went to Japan for Pride. That's the best thing I can relate it to, because he was there doing this. He's like, he has like one girl in each arm, and he picks them both, and it's like, this reminds me of that. It gives the big fight feel thing to whatever match he's having in Noah. I don't know if he's wrestling. And yeah, just look at this. Like if this was in the 70s, or like the late 90s.
Correct there. They know that people, are people, and she's cute as.
Oh yeah, dude. Here we go though. Let's scroll down. So speaking of Nakamura's taking on Yu Sasaki.
That's a girl.
No, Dose, that is not the girl from the previous video that Omos was picking up. That's his opponent. So it's Nakamura versus this guy, and then Omos is taking on another guy. God damn it. Okay. Yeah. He's talking in Japanese, so it's just cool to see. You know what I mean? That this is going down. I want to see more of this. They did the Japanese style press conference, and they pop for stuff like that. I'm all for it. I want to see more of it. And God, it's such a W to send Omos over there. Like, what is he being used for? Send him to Japan and make these videos and pop Uber marks like me. This is how you cater to the sickos and the casuals. Because if you're a casual at WWE, you're like, who gives a? Or you might go, dude, I'm gonna watch Nakamura fight this guy in Noah for the first time ever, and then you might become a fan, or you're like, not for me, but I'm a WWE fan, so I'm gonna follow them around. Or you're just like, who gives a? But then Uber marks like me are like, yeah, I'm going to watch Noah for the first time in forever. I want to see what happens here. So it's just a W all around.
Flood.
Noah since the flood. You old son of a bitch. Damn right. So speaking of a flood, Bert Kreischer just loves to flood the alcohols. And it's funny because he linked up with CM Punk, who's straight edges. So you have like the drunkest guy on the internet, Bert Kreischer, linking up with CM Punk. And this to me is hilarious. But more of this. I want to see more of celebrities. And like Bert Kreischer clearly has an interest in pro wrestling. That's cool. Netflix is tagged in it because Bert Kreischer's and comedy specials go on there. WWE's on Netflix. They're linked up. They're at the game. Let's watch some social medias, and you gotta love this. But it is hilarious seeing literally a guy who's a super drunk comedian known for being a drunk guy who takes his shirt off, and then you have a guy who's known for being a super overly serious straight edge guy who takes his shirt off, and it's pretty funny.
I mean, you're the best promo guy out there. I feel like we should have you do it.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor, but we're going to make it fact. Just like there's a fact that this man has a Netflix special that you can watch.
Yeah, someone in chat is like, Bert Kreischer's insufferable. Listen, I agree. Okay. I fucking agree.
Oh, hold on a second. The Machine was not a great movie, but it had great parts in it. For instance, the line where the guy goes, "You're going to fight me?" He goes, "I grew up in Florida. All we did was fight and drink alcohol, and I can't worth."
That's good.
It's a good line.
That is a good line. But let's be honest, some talented writer who will never get recognition came up with that, and not Bert Kreischer. No, I'm just joking. I'm being a hater. Just don't ever, if you like Bert Kreischer, don't ever watch his podcast.
Right now. Go to Netflix, and on January 6th, you can go to Netflix. You can see me, and you can see this beautiful human being.
My Special Lucky is streaming on Netflix March 18th. Check it out. It is a pleasure to be with you guys.
That's a long time, March.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a little early to cut a promo, but listen, I'm not a pro, okay?
All right, we'll revisit this sometime in March, April. No, March. April.
Like late February.
2027. Come out.
I mean, you're the best pro.
That's funny.
These guys are like us.
So moving along here, WWE is indeed considering making certain pay-per-views into 2-night events, with the next option being the Royal Rumble. As such, the 2-night format is on table for the 2026 Royal Rumble. In addition, Money in the Bank could also be heading to a multiple-night event by 2027 via Wrestle votes. Notice I'm saying the word properly, not Westel votes, like Meltzer gets worked by Backstage Pass. Who knows how accurate this is? I believe this is true, though. And I know people are like, oh, come on, why are they do 2 nights? I don't know, man. I'm going to give you a real hot take here. And I say good, man, especially for events that are Royal Rumbles. Listen, when you have a men's Rumble and a women's Rumble on the same night, God damn, that's a lot. Like if you have 2 nights, and especially the Money in the Bank, some people are probably like, why Money in the Bank? Well, because you have the women's Money in the Bank and the men's Money in the Bank. You have those both on different nights. And I know it's a little like they might be hotshot booking, but like wrestling's getting bigger and bigger right now. At least WWE's business is. Maybe I won't blanket say wrestling, but WWE is just blowing up. And listen, in a perfect world, do I want there to be 2-night events? No, but like we can't go back to the way women are featured in wrestling now alone means that's like double the screen time for everything now, because they're legit stars, they're legit draws, they main event, they're cutting good promos, they're doing good segments. And now I know it might need some work. Like there's not as much depth as the men yet. However, it's like up there. It's at the highest level it's ever been. It almost doubles the TV time. They added 2 new women's titles. Like you're doubling the time you need just for wrestling alone, not just for the men, just the fact that women are being featured seriously now as opposed to years in the past. So I'm okay with breaking it up so that one of the Money in the Bank, but if they start going like Backlash is 2 nights, no, that survive, even like War Games, if there's got to be a women's War Games and a men War Game, okay, break those up 2 different nights. I'm okay with it, especially with the rosters being sort of bloated. People like to say they're bloated, overloaded and all that. I get that, but this is a way to remedy that, and you give more high profile matches. Like if you put Roman in a singles match against someone, Cody against someone, Punk against someone, you have like a long list of guys that could fill up these buildings on one night with compelling enough on the undercard. Like we're talking Charlotte Flair ain't even back. Becky Lynch ain't even back. And they're doing huge business right now. To me, it's just like, you might as well try it, and you can always go back to one night. It's not like they can't ever go back if, it looks like our ticket sales are dwindling. It's not like they can't ever do that. That being said, this ride won't last forever for WWE, but maybe it does. Maybe this is the new norm, and then it goes a little.
The cities are going to pay for it too when they go to these places for 2 nights. Like they're already going to make money from the cities they go to, and then they'll make more of those. Like they'll make it more of an event to go there. together. So yeah, the weekend is the show, but the Friday before is SmackDown in the NBA arena. That's what, 2 miles away or as close as it is. Like, depends on where they are. Like, it's financially, it makes a lot of sense. And if they can get 75% of an NFL stadium full with how nice these stadiums are and how they can make them work, like, it just makes sense financially, especially right now. And yeah, you said if you sell, like, you can always go back.
But like the argument though too is that like it's too much wrestling. Like, goddamn, I have to put 2 nights aside to watch Money in the Bank and that. I don't buy into that. I think right now it's working until they show me that doesn't work, especially when it's on a streaming service. It's just a 2-night event. It's the same as if you go, NXT New Year's Evil 2-night TV event where they do that sometimes. Halloween Havoc's like the one Tuesday, then the next Tuesday, they're both called Halloween Havoc. They do that sometimes. It's almost the same thing, especially on streaming. It's like, man, you're
not paying $30 or $50 per show. Like, it's
like you get it for free. So
it's
what
part of the package with Peacock or Netflix or whatever you're paying for? It's yeah, I don't see any problem with it. You don't have to watch the whole thing too. They can give you can watch the matches you want to, or watch whatever you like. Watch the main event.
And if this means less
video package, if you miss it, you're fine.
If this means less like side PLEs as well too, like if they're like, okay, I don't know, what's one of the side
Fast
ones?
Lane.
Like we're not doing that this year, like that. We're getting rid of that, but there's more. There's more like 2-night events. I'm all game for that too, and I think that would. Also, and then all you do is
longer stories between the shows.
You still do Payback, but it's just a TV special or whatever. It's like they already have Saturday Night Main Event. Just get rid of that. Some of those B level PLEs. If it means they're gone and I get 2 nights of Money in the Bank, and that means I get to enjoy one Money in the Bank match for the girls one night and then the men the next night, and then you can spread it out and then you can tell more stories and then more talent are featured. I'm all for it, because we got 2 new women's belts already. Right? It's like we need more TV time. And SmackDown's going to 3 hours. Raw, there's no set time. I was ahead of the curve on that. I called it when no one else was saying that. No dirt sheets were saying that. Your boy Phil was saying, hey, on Netflix, there's no set time. Now Meltzer's reporting that. Give me $7.99 day special, $14.99, please. But yeah, I don't know, man. I like it. Dose, what do you think about 2-night events? We know financially it's a good idea, but like you as a wrestling fan, are you like, it's just too much, or do you kind of see where I'm coming from?
I do see where you're coming from, and I agree with you, especially on those feature matches where there's a men's and a women's elimination chamber, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, and of course SummerSlam and WrestleMania already there. I feel sort of the same way about you about the secondary PLEs. I don't think there'll be less of them, but they can be one day, the crown jewels or whatever. But at the same time, I mean, the market will determine. As far as there being too much wrestling, I agree. That's why I stopped watching AEW. Now there's not too much wrestling. Now it's just right. I mean, so everyone dropped AEW. It's crap. But I mean, the market will decide. And listen, I used to think it was crazy that they be in a town for 2 nights. Now they can have a 6-day event in the city. The city pays for it. And now there's the additional, I mean, you can have an NXT show. UFC, if they want, they can have a card also. They have these fan fests. They have all these different events. It basically becomes 5 or 6 day events, including Raw and SmackDown, maybe NXT too, like a regular NXT broadcast and then like an NXT PLE. I mean, you could make it a whole week-long event easily and have people fly in. And this is part of their, it's like a wrestling vacation. And you do it in destination cities. And now that you have international markets competing, you're not limited to the United States or, parts of Canada. It's like now Japan's in the mix. Now India's in the mix. Now cities in Europe are in the mix. Wherever as long as Netflix grows and there's fandoms, I mean, Singapore could be in the mix for all we know. And of course, the crown jewel of them all, that's not crown jewel, China. Endeavor has a relationship with China. And, China is your next big growth area. I have concerns. I believe that every market pops, including this one, but it's a hot hand now. And you ride it now. You ride the hot times, you pull back in the slow times, and you hope for another hot time to come by. But even during the slow times, they were still doing these 4 or 5 day WrestleMania events and doing fine. It was like their Christmas, for retailers. So, I have concerns, but yeah, give it a shot, see what happens. Like you said, you can always pull back.
Yep, exactly. So speaking of pulling back, Dave Meltzer showed some restraint and didn't jump on this one, and he pulled back a bit by not letting his chicken lips mumble this one out. Backlash in Mexico City at Arena CDMX. Yeah, I mean, amazing. It's not in the Tokyo Dome like Meltzer jumped all over. However, yeah, we're in Mexico City for Backlash. That will be lit, and I can't wait for that. I think it'll have those Puerto Rico Chambea vibes. Speaking of vibes, here is CM Punk at the MSG house show, who came out with just a towel on to help Damian Priest. And there's a lot of AEW sicko fans, not sycophants, but sicko fans, who are like mad at this. They're like, sports entertainment dumb. Like, why is this okay, but Canadian destroyers aren't? And I don't know. They just can't afford to go to house shows or something. They don't get it. Like,
or they don't have house shows.
Yeah, this is what house shows have been. Is always done like this.
Yeah.
One time at a house show, it was Big Show's birthday, and he fought JBL, and it was for the US title, right? And Big Show had the US title, and he was taking on JBL. And it was Big Show's for real birthday. And in the middle of the match, JBL's like, "Oh, okay, now Big Show, I know it's your birthday." And this when I was a kid, and he was like, "Here, I got you something." So he goes to the back and he comes out with like a box of pizza, like pizzas, maybe even multiple boxes of pizza. And he's like, "Let's have some pizza, drink a beer." And Big Show, a big 7-foot monster, took a fan's beer and drank like 4 sips of it, right? The equivalent to 4 sips of it is one Big Show sip, right? So he takes like one Big Show sip, which is like 4 sips of this beer. And then he was stumbling around like he was drunk for the match. You know what I mean? Like, and he was doing this thing where he's like eating pizza drunk throughout the match from like a sip of beer. You know what I mean? It would take him 4,000 sips of beer. You know what I mean? He's the Big Show, goddammit. And so that's where you do like that, is that house show. Sorry to tell everyone that. If you
They're not canon. It's just for fun. That's what house shows have always been. That's why if they ever come to my town for the house show, I'll always go.
Yeah, sometimes they're better.
Oh yeah, it's way more fun.
TV, man. Yeah, so
it's way more fun. The matches are more fun. They do more silly stuff. R-Truth's going to come out at a random point for no reason to make you laugh. It's great.
Yeah, so
go to the house shows.
Let's see. And I also think, if I'm not mistaken, that Charlotte Flair returned on this or one of these shows or something, like had a match. I might be wrong about that.
I guarantee you that this clip and all the faux outrage on the IWC is what sold an additional 800 tickets tonight in Orlando, so that it went from 7,300 to 8,600 for the house show.
Right. And this is why, and I keep bringing it up, people are like, "Oh, why did Kevin Owens attack Cody not on the show?" Well, because we're already going to watch the show. That wouldn't have like increased the ratings or anything. But when you do stuff like that for the house, and then it goes live on social media, and we're all on social media like, "What the?" It makes us go, "Holy, you need to be in the building at these events, because anything could happen." Now in AEW, Mercedes Moné just got dropped on her neck. I guess anything could happen that way. Hopefully she's all right.
Films it themselves and puts it out too later. They let it go viral with fan footage, and then about an hour later they put it out themselves and let that go even more viral. It's so smart.
Yes, and then with the house shows, right? The same thing. Like this happens, and then WWE acknowledges it a little while later and releases their footage, because they have cameras filming every house show. They have cameras filming everything. It's so smart. It's how you cater to the casuals and the sickos and to every age demographic. That's they're trying to tackle every. I get it, the key demo, but they're looking at every.
They have an actual PR team, as we've talked about. AWC or AWE's PR team.
AWE's
do anything.
All wrestling entertainment. But to me, I'm saying that moments like this are what make you go, I have to get to the house show. I have to get to the TV. You never know what's going to happen. And that's why the attendance is up. They keep giving us like, at the last minute, The Rock just shows up and does a neck slit motion. And I know people bury that too. What? Oh, that was pointless. The Rock coming out and doing the counting to 3 with the belt. Bro, you mean you went to that show, you got that whole beautiful PLE, and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. And then you got to see The Rock come out and say 1, 2, 3 and do a neck slit. I want to see The Rock come out. Like, I want to see that. You might never see The Rock in WWE again. There might be like 5 times ever that it happens again.
Yeah.
You telling me you don't want to be a person in attendance when John Cena out of nowhere in 2025 is like, yeah, I'm back for a year. I got 42 dates or whatever. You're like, holy, I gotta be there. He could just show up at any time. What the and like Punk coming out in a towel and a shower cap. That's some no one ever thought had on their 2024 bingo card. This has been one of the craziest years ever in pro wrestling, and Punk decides to end it like this. No one had this in their cards, God damn it, as we wrap up the year. And it's like, this makes you in 2025 go, I need to go to the house shows. I need to go to these events. I know I'm beating it to death, but all these marks who get triggered by this, I don't get it. Why they don't get it,
Yes, you do. Because the company they don't like did it.
Yeah. So, well, you're right about that. He's holding the towel. Priest clotheslines Dominic and Ludwig. Ludwig getting his own shine as his own guy without Gunther as well. Love to see it. So here's Dominic Mysterio. Someone threw him like a chicken tender during the match at this show. Or at one of the shows. So he's wrestling Rollins and he's eating a chicken tender during the match that someone threw at him or something like. And all the boos are piped in. There's Dominic right there. Like, I know you guys want to fill the show like, oh, you're just an E-drone. No, I just am reality drone. I just love reality. So this is reality right here. Listen to the boo.
He's on the MSG chicken tenders. It's so smart.
It's genius,
this kid
man.
Is just brilliant, dude.
And there's so many guys like, I love these tenders, You got Mercedes Moné doing the worst frog splash I've maybe ever seen ever. Bray Wyatt and Brody Lee's children had a moment in the middle of the ring after SmackDown went off the air. You love to see it. R.I.P. Brody Lee, R.I.P. Bray Wyatt. Here's their kids having a moment in the ring with Braun Strowman, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. That's very that's sweet that they got that moment. And fuck, man,
one is such a traitor.
Oh, come on. No, I don't want to. No, we're not gonna. I don't want to go down that road.
Picture me as AEW neckbeards right now, traitor.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, can I get a yeet though? Let's give a yeet to Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt there.
Well, that wasn't. Yeah, yeet absolutely for Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt, 100%.
Shawn Michaels, Chef Michaels, 723 to the 574. We covered that earlier. NXT developmental beating them. So here's what a WWE staff guy, Nick Dowser, he's a WWE producer. He takes us behind the scenes on what it's like to be underneath the ring before a show. So I guess this guy's under the ring every show.
Yep. Okay.
So here we go. He's climbing under the ring.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty dark under here.
So for everyone who's wondered.
Not a whole lot going on. That's my legendary monitor. Make sure we have my monitor under here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hello? Is that?
And a heater? Is that a heater?
Hornswoggle?
That's his server. That's his computer and the router.
Yeah. Oh, that is the router for it. Yeah. Hornswoggle.
Maybe he's not under here.
There's a broom and everything you need, dude. Tables, ladders, chairs, a sledgehammer, dude. Everything. Hornswoggle.
Tatum
Paxley. Yeah.
Titus O'Neil is still.
He wishes, dude. So Fadeaway Media tweets out, "Hey yo, they changed the like button to the WWE Undisputed Championship, US only. Look at that, man. That's awesome.
Cool.
In Canada, it's not just like raw coming graphics. It's like there's a sweet NXT one, there's a SmackDown one. I should film them if someone else hasn't already posted them on X. I'll look on
I've
X.
seen the still shots, like the end of them.
There's if someone else posts them. You're Phil Marks, not them. They're nobody.
Yeah. Oh, come on now, Dose. That's not very fair. Everybody's somebody.
I am going to take a bag of salt like Mr. Fuji and throw it in their eyes.
Everybody's got a first. Well, everybody's got a first name.
Everybody, Frank, you know, his name's Frank. So yeah, that's amazing though. I'm excited, and hopefully we get that WWE title thing too. WWE is issuing New Year's cards to all their legends. So legends are getting these New Year's cards that say to the legends that paved the way, Happy New Year from your family at WWE.
Trevor Lee got one also, so it's not only to legends.
Okay, so alum.
But it's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. That was WWE news, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause for WWE news, please and thank you.